Hi, psychology and social change students. I bet you guys are excited because this is probably one of your last courses. Woohoo! I'm excited to help you through this last course, or one of your last courses. Each week I'm going to make a video. It will probably be the most helpful for you just to go to course menu and announcements like each week, because that's where I'll post the video, but also I'll just have it written, like which resources might be most helpful to use for which assignments. And I think you guys might know this by now, but you go to course menu and learning modules, and we're going to start with module 1. And for the discussion, I do just like to point out the discussion rubric. Just note that for this first critical element, I like to point out that it says that your subject matter has to be supported by credible resources, even to get a proficient, and you can see that you would get needs improvement if you didn't have credible resources. We have a ton of resources in this course, like here's the ones for module 1. And since we're talking in the discussion this week about identity, let me just show you. I don't think that I did, but it's talking about identity and social change, so define identity and things like that. It's talking a ton about identity. So you can see that our resources this week, like here's identity, influence and change, social psychology of identities, here's self-concept, self-identity, how our identities are socially constructed. So there's a ton of good resources right there. And so just make sure that you're thinking about how you're going to include at least one of those in order to get contributions to the learning community. You could always use a peer-reviewed research article as well. I just think that that is kind of a pain. Like you would have to go to the Shapiro library, go into PsycInfo database, and check off peer-reviewed. I just don't know that you have the time or energy to be searching for all those sources when they're already provided for you. So for me, that wouldn't necessarily make sense. If you happen to have something from an old textbook, from an old course, you could use that. Just make sure that you are citing, like, let me just go into, just make sure that you're citing it. You can use apastyle.apa.org and make sure that you, like, here's how to cite a whole bunch of things, like if you were using an old book. Okay, so what else in the discussion? Okay, let me look at the discussion rubric. I just want to point out, make sure that you're integrating. It says multiple themes. See how it says elaborates on how one or more programmatic themes relate to this discussion. So if you just did one, you'd get that like this, proficient. If you did more than one, then it would be that exemplary, which I'm sure that you're aiming for. So just make sure that you talk about how at least 2 of these relate to our discussion. And then for advancement of discussion, just note that you do want to integrate views from other learners and sources. So again, this one doesn't say credible. See how it doesn't say that? So this can be anything, like a YouTube video or something. It just says that you need to integrate views from other learners and sources in order to even get a proficient. So just make sure that you are paying attention to that. Like just include anything. I think for me, I wouldn't want to read more, so I would just include the same source that I did up here, but maybe you're more creative than that, but just make sure that you're integrating something else. And then just make sure that you're using APA citation methods, which you probably know by now, but if you don't, that website, apastyle.apa.org, is really helpful. I don't know where I just, oh, here it is. And then just, of course, make sure that you're submitting by Thursday. Not the end of the world if you don't. You can still submit by Sunday of the module. You just lose some points, but not a ton. And then let's go back in there. You have 2 other things this week. So in module 1, here's your milestone. So you want to be looking at the guidelines and rubric for that. And for this, okay, so you're looking at, see how you're finding 5 scholarly resources. And again, for me, I just think it makes the most sense to just use the resources that are provided. So see how you have to record and cite 5 scholarly sources with different definitions of social change identity, and they already have them like in here. So I would just use these. Like there's identity, influence, and change. There's self-concept, self-identity. There's how our identities are socially constructed. There's what is social change and why should we care? Where is that one? There. That one also has information here. And there's also how culture affects your personality, which is way down. Where is how culture? Oh, here. How culture affects your personality. So that would be another one that you could use. Okay, and now, wait, where are we for the, not resources, not the rubric, oh, the milestone one, okay. So you want to find 5 scholarly sources that include varying definitions of social change identity. And then you want to identify 3 themes that emerged from these definitions. So you might find that they're all talking about culture. You might find that maybe 2 of the sources were talking about, I don't know, gender. Like you might, so whatever it is that you found that overlapped with your sources, make sure that you say the 3 themes and then say which sources had which themes. So say like you find that 2 of them are talking about culture, just make sure that you're saying one theme seemed to be culture and how that plays a role, and then just cite your sources according to APA, like author, last name, comma, date. And then which of the 3 themes has the greatest significance to you? I mean, this doesn't need citations. This is just your opinion. And then this is, again, which of the 3 themes has the greatest societal significance, but that is just your opinion of these 3 themes that you identified. And then when you're talking about a theory of personal change that best reflects character or values, we have the theory of personal change document. Oh, here, right here. So make sure that you're referring to that. Like that's the theories of personal change. So make sure that you're using one of those from the theories of personal change document. And I'm going to link to all of these in the announcement too, so that you don't have to keep jumping back and forth. And for the social change initiative, you want to go to the APA website, and here's like what APA is saying are the social initiatives that are most relevant right now. So choose one of those on this website, one of those social change initiatives, and say which one aligns with your personal ideals. Then, of course, just make sure that you spell check and make sure that you're using APA. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, but I'll put all of this in an announcement as well. And then for the video reflection, I know, aren't you done yet? Not yet. Once again, it's talking about, so watch the video first, and then it says describe which theory of personal change is most applicable to the development of this person's social change identity. So again, you want to go back into your resources, and here's your theories of personal change. That's what they're talking about there. Oh, did I just lose it? Oh, here it is. And then for authenticity, just make sure that you are talking about how the speaker's story relates to authenticity. Like I don't necessarily see a particular resource that's related to that. So just make sure that you are talking about the theory that you chose. So how authenticity relates to that theory that you chose and why is that important. But I don't see a particular resource that relates to authenticity necessarily in the modules. And then just make sure that you're doing a spell check and that you are citing with APA style. So that one doesn't seem that bad. So feel free to email me if you have any questions. I know this is a big list, but you'll see that I'm just going to outline which resources were most relevant to which to which assignments. I'll outline that in the announcement, so hopefully that will be helpful. All right, have a good week. I'll see you in the discussion.